to the land of the mosquitoes?
Literally, as soon as you hit the stop recording button.
I'm kind of jealous, but kind of not jealous. So both.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those mixed bags. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm Ted Rall running the board today. So Robbie West is off. His prayer session ran long. God does that sometimes. Please like, follow, and share the show. If you'd like to contribute, we're still trying to iron out the kinks with YouTube. And we think we will in a matter of days, probably by next week. But if you feel the urge, and we really could use it a lot, please donate to our PayPal account. To those of you who've already done so, we really appreciate you. That PayPal address is our email. You can also email us there. And we've gotten some emails over there, John. I'll forward some of them over to you.
Yeah,
and we're going to reply to those. I like replying to people. So
yeah, that's important to me.
deprogrampodcast@gmail.com is the PayPal and the email. I will admit that if you PayPal, I'll probably reply sooner than if you don't PayPal, because I'm a capitalist at heart. Not really, but I'm a communist at heart. But we're living a capitalist system, so that's how it is. Lots to talk about today. John is on some guy named Joe Rogan's show. Is that a thing?
It was quite an experience yesterday. You have to sign a non-disclosure agreement before you go on the show. So I couldn't bring anybody with me. I couldn't tell anybody the address of the studio or the location of the studio. I wasn't allowed to take any pictures. I wasn't allowed to bring my phone in with me. That kind of thing.
Well, those are basic security protocols, and frankly, I don't blame him at all.
I'll tell you what, he had 5 of the biggest guys I've ever seen, like right out of a WWE. So like 1980s New York City nightclub doormen. That's exactly what they were
like refrigerators.
Exactly. And security cameras, like every inch of this compound was covered by cameras, and then an entire wall of video monitors.
Smart.
Chain link fence with concertina wire at the top. It was incredible.
Wow.
And it turns out that he used to broadcast from the same studio where Alex Jones broadcasts from.
Oh, wow.
And Alex Jones had one of his reporters murdered just a few blocks from the studio in June. And so Rogan said, I'm out of here.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah. But security was very, very important. And nice guy, very down to earth, very normal, friendly, average guy.
That.
He was a little bit late. He said there was traffic. He came in about 10 minutes late. We went straight into the studio, and there were no pleasantries or anything. He just straight into it.
That's best.
For 3 hours. Yeah. So
that's great. So 3-hour interview. I mean, it's funny, right? Because that's just an example of how podcasting has really changed things. It's like on television, if you got a 5-minute interview, that was a wide-ranging, long interview.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And the funny thing about the 3 hours was, for the first hour, he didn't say a single word. He just kind of sat there looking at me, and then he was just like, "Fuck." I didn't realize it was that bad, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's true that when people hear stories like yours in detail, it's the details that really do, bring it across. I mean, that's how you experienced it. And even a 1 hour retelling is obviously highly compressed, right?
Highly compressed.
But still, I mean, you experienced it over the course of years. I mean, hell, you're still experiencing it.
Yeah.
And so,
I'd like to get this
right now, right? I mean, it never really leaves you. I mean, even if you get a pardon, it's. I mean, I think the word "smeared" from the McCarthy era is such a good word for it, because it's really true. You get psychically and psychologically and spiritually smeared, and you can't ever really wash it all away.
No. No, it's not possible to fully recover from something like this because it changes not just you, but the people around you.
Right.
And you can't go back in time and try to
No.
fix things. My life will never be the same.
Well, that's a good segue. Maybe we should get right into the news. And obviously, Gaza is at the top of the news. And Gaza is a place that is never going to be the same, really.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, Israel is never going to be the same. I mean, the Israelis lost their humanity in this whole thing, and I don't know how they get it back. They certainly don't get their reputation back.
No.
I got to just say this one thing, this thought I had. Now, there's going to be an influx of aid. There's also going to be an influx of Western news reporters. And for the first time, there's not going to be any denying on the part of Israeli apologists exactly what the full scale of what Israel did there. If Israel thinks this is the beginning of the road back to their reputation, they're mistaken. It's going to be the opposite. It's going to get worse as people see what they did.
Yep, I think that's exactly right. And this is a pet peeve of mine. And I know that the Israelis or their agents are watching this because they watch everything.
Hi, guys.
But there are a couple of things that bother me very much about this issue. Number one, why in the world does the mainstream media say Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners? Why? The Palestinians are hostages too. You just scoop people up off the street and disappear them in prisons. They've been kidnapped. They're hostages. Same as yours are. They're hostages. Number one. Number two, we hear like, oh my God, the Israeli hostage was released and he's all skin and bones and they starved. Have you looked at the Palestinians?
Yeah, by most accounts, the Israeli hostages actually got the lion's share of whatever food was available to their captors.
That's right. The Israeli hostages were treated better than the Palestinian hostages were.
Oh yeah, no, I mean Palestinians have died in captivity. Yeah. I mean, there's no evidence that any. I'm sure it's happened, but I mean, there's no solid evidence that Israeli hostages have been murdered. They've been killed by IDF bombing and shooting and stuff like that.
Yes,
but and by the way, hostage taking is obviously inexcusable of civilians in particular. But yeah, no, I think it's like the narrative has just been way over the top. So we're going to talk about Gaza. We're going to talk about Letitia James, who has been is now in the crosshairs of the Trumpies. I like this story out of Chicago, where a judge basically has issued a formal order saying, hey, quit beating up and targeting journalists and protesters at ICE protests. Like that guy from Fox. Although, God, that spin machine, crazy.
I thought that was Antifa.
The Antifa PD. Cuomo has picked up pretty much all of the Eric Adams vote in the New York mayoral race. But it's not going to be enough to overcome Mamdani's lead. Mamdani is going to be the next mayor of the city of New York. And the president of Peru has been impeached. I thought this was a big story because it's unanimous, right? I mean, and of course, there's some crying today in the White House over the Nobel Peace Prize, which did not go to Donald Trump. It went to a right-wing Venezuelan opposition politician. So we'll get into all that. What should we do first, John?
Wow, there's so much. Let's do it. Let's do it a little differently today. Let's hit some of these smaller issues so we can knock them out.
Let's do it.
Maria Machado. Now I'm going to have to learn her full name. What's her name?
Maria Corina Machado.
Corina Machado. Correct me, Ted, because I'm not an expert on Venezuela.
Nor am I.
I thought she was like the female Juan Guaido. Right?
She is. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah.
Well, today the Washington Post is saying that she now joins the ranks of Nelson Mandela, Aung San Suu Kyi, and other laureates who have challenged autocratic rule. Well, Aung San Suu Kyi's no hero. She's a human rights criminal. But anyway, Yeah, it was my understanding that she was just another Juan Guaido. She's in hiding, apparently, so it's unclear whether she will be in Oslo in person to accept the Peace Prize. But I wanted to ask you, you know more about Venezuela than I do. Do you think that this is part of the Western effort to weaken the Maduro government?
Yeah, I do. It's really kind of transparent and cheap, but I think that's what it is. It's just literally, like Maduro. Look, Maduro's under siege, right? I mean, he's got U.S. warships right off the coast. He's got U.S. drones blowing up Venezuelan flagged boats that may or may not be affiliated with drug cartels. That he's already offed 25 Venezuelan citizens or more. God knows, the pressure is on. That's not even counting all the sanctions. And there's a massive propaganda. I think this is part of the massive propaganda campaign against the Maduro government. So, it's kind of like Hugo Chavez 2.0. They just, the U.S. is determined to have a puppet government in Venezuela as the largest oil producer in the Western Hemisphere. And I think it comes down to that. I think it's really just that simple. It was a disappointing and strange choice. I could have thought of a lot better choices. I mean, I would have rather see Greta Thunberg get it. You know what I mean?
As much as that girl bothers me, she deserved it. She actually walks the walk and deserves it. Yeah. So I have to agree with you.
So we'll follow that. And so then while we're in Latin America, let's scoot over to Peru. I
didn't follow this at all. I was surprised when I saw your note.
Yeah, well, I hadn't been following it either. I mean, Peruvian politics are always kind of weird to me. But basically, apparently the country has been ravaged by a massive out-of-control crime wave. Basically, you can't drive a bus in Peru, apparently, without being threatened with death unless you pay out shakedown money. Businesses have been bombed for not paying protection money. Basically, extortion is the national industry now in Peru, and the president, who's just been ousted, Dina Boluarte, she's a sort of a center right. I think it's fair to say more right than center ruler, and she'd had pretty broad support. But basically, one of the reasons you elect right wingers is for law and order. And if you don't get law and order, there's no reason to have her around. So in the Peruvian system, one house of parliament, right? They don't think they have a bicameral legislature there. They can remove the president, and they did it unanimously.
That is just
122 to 0.
Oh my God!
So it's a stunning rebuke. So she goes from being president just like that. Done. The stroke of midnight, she's unemployed. So she's basically there's all sorts of thoughts that she may be fleeing into exile to go to Ecuador. The Ecuadorians haven't said whether they're going to accept her or not, but that would indicate to me that she's not even viewed as physically safe in her own country. There was a machine gun attack in the middle of a concert on Wednesday that killed the four members of the band while they were playing.
Oh my!
So people just basically are Congress is like, fuck this, she's out.
Unbelievable.
I assume they'll have new elections.
See, and this is another country that's having catastrophic political developments and is utterly ignored by the Western press. And it's a Western country. I didn't know any of this stuff.
No, it's true. Well, it's because the news is not good in our, to say the least. Question for you, John, from Longhorn Clement. Did the topic of Mike Baker come up on Joe Rogan's show? I really wanted you to tell Joe how Mike got fired from the CIA.
Well, yes and no. The very first thing he asked me when he walked into the studio was, "Hey, do you know my friend Mike Baker?" And I said, "Oh, sure. I've known Mike for years. In fact, I replaced Mike in Athens, and I worked with his wife in London. And then he says, okay, we're on the air. And then he just changed the subject. So that was literally all I got to say was, yeah, I know. That was it. And then he never came back to Mike Baker again.
That's kind of
that,
analogous to the world of cartooning, where, if you meet another cartoonist and they say, oh, I know your work. Oh. That means they don't like you or your work, but it's like, but they know it.
I always say, I admire your work.
See, that's different. Yeah. Or I like your work, or your work is great, or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we could talk about Cuomo.
Yeah, let's talk about Cuomo. So you were right. You predicted that he was going to get all or almost all of Eric Adams' support, and that's exactly what happened. But with that said, it's nowhere near enough to win this race. And look, man, we're already on the 10th of October. The election's in 3 weeks. And I'm assuming that
it's actually earlier than that, because we have early voting here in New York City.
That was my next sentence. Yeah. I've already voted in Virginia for the gubernatorial race. So I just assume New York City is an advanced constituency that has early voting.
Well, New York City in many ways is not an advanced country city. We have a subway system that still runs on DC power. But it's definitely, we have early voting and we have ranked choice voting, but it's none of that's going to matter. I mean, Mamdani's lead is obviously insurmountable.
Yes.
Current poll shows Mamdani at 46, Cuomo at 33, Curtis Sliwa, the Republican nominee, at 15. So with an error of plus or minus 4%, which
did you see? Day before yesterday, Rudy Giuliani endorsed Curtis Sliwa.
Oh, well, I mean, he is the Republican nominee.
Yeah, but Giuliani was a lifelong Democrat, was he not?
Well, he was, but not as mayor. I mean, he ran as a Republican as mayor. But I mean, the Republican Party line, under Giuliani and Bloomberg, was kind of just sort of like lying around doing nothing. So it was an opportunity for politicians who were frustrated by the intricacies of the Democratic machine in New York. It's like, okay, I'll just step outside of that. And everyone kind of like knew, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'm for a woman's right to choose. I'm pro-gay. It's all fine. I know I'm a Republican, but
right.
So
I'm one of the good Republicans. I could just hear him saying it.
So Cuomo, I mean, obviously, the powers that be in New York have to be accepting the reality here at a certain point. Now, I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen with the landlords. Landlords are warehousing about 1 out of 4 rental units in New York City, hoping for a law that passed in 2019 under former Mayor de Blasio to change. They're basically hoping that they're going to be able to raise the rents under going back to the pre-2019 rules. Look, whatever Mamdani does or doesn't do, he's not going to reverse that law. So landlords are going to have to come to Jesus, and they're going to have to decide: do we try to figure out a way to like get rid of Mamdani, like impeach him or something? B, do we sit tight for 4 years and keep these units warehoused all this time and collect zero rent? Or do we internalize the new valuations of our properties that are worth now considerably less than they were before 2019? And then that last part would mean that some landlords, maybe many landlords, would walk away from their properties and allow them to be abandoned or go bankrupt or burn them down for the insurance money, as happened in the Bronx in the 1970s. But it's going to be, I mean, there's going to be repercussions here, in terms of the rent.
Tell me something, Ted. To do something like to revoke previous legislation or whatever, is that done by the city council? And isn't New York City's city council just gigantic?
Yes. John, you may not know, you personally are on the New York City Council. You just never showed up. Yeah, we all are. My cat is Clovis. No, I mean, it is a gigantic city council. I don't even know. I think it's 65 members, I want to say, if I had to put money on it. It's absurd. And yes, everything has to go through city council. It's a very left-wing, basically it's a DSA left-wing city council. I don't think there's a single conservative on it. A conservative on the New York City Council is basically like a Hubert Humphrey Democrat, and so they're going to be extremely acquiescent. They're going to be very happy with this mayor. This mayor is going to get along great with city council. So, anything they propose, he's going to sign. Anything he proposes, they're going to pass. So that there's not going to be gridlock in City Hall in that way, except for just the fact that New York City just can't respond to anything. I mean, for example, there's a crisis with e-bikes, and people are getting killed all the time by speeding e-bikes, but the city just can't, doesn't seem to. I mean, just yesterday I was listening to local WNYC talking about why the city isn't doing anything. Well, there's 15,000 e-bikes, John. So how are they going to regulate them? I'm like, they regulate 8 million New Yorkers. I mean, how many cars are there in New York? How many trucks? There's 15,000. What does that even mean? That's the stupidest explanation in the world. But that's literally what they say.
Oh my God. Yeah. So we shouldn't expect, so we're going to expect Mamdani to win, but we shouldn't expect these cataclysmic changes that so many people are disingenuously predicting.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not going to be hammer and sickle bunting over Times Square,
right?
As much as I would love to see that. I mean, look, I think the thing is that the mayor this mayor is going to have, honestly, one major problem, and nobody's talking about this. There are 3 loci of power in New York City: the cops, there's the real estate, and there's Wall Street. None of those are in Mamdani's pocket. Mamdani has the voters, but the voters elect you, but you can't govern without having one of them, right? Like Giuliani had the police. Yes. Bloomberg obviously had Wall Street.
Yes.
Ed Koch had real estate. De Blasio had nothing, and he was extremely ineffectual as a result. So Mamdani's problem is that he's going to always have to go straight to New Yorkers for approval of anything. New Yorkers are divided about a lot of issues that non-New Yorkers don't care about, a lot of stuff relating to schools. Like, do you do tracking, or do you have we have high schools that are elite, and they keep changing the rules as to whether they're going to try to make them more racially diverse or not, and schools like Bronx Science and Stuyvesant, which are very hard to get into. You need great math and science scores. So the point is, they're going to argue about stuff like that. But I think Mamdani is not going to. First of all, if he can freeze the rent, that'll be like a year or two. Okay, I mean it's just, and even freezing the rent, when the average rental is $5,000 a month, freezing the rent isn't really that big a deal. The rent's so high already. I mean, a rent reduction would be significant, would matter more. And, as for the grocery stores that, your friend, the Greek Christidis magnate likes.
John Kiriakou.
It's going to have no effect because there's going to be 5 stores for the entire city of New York for 8 million people. Who, I don't care how big they are. It's not going to make any difference.
But he's gonna move to St. Petersburg, Florida. It's like, promise?
Don't let the door hit
Later.
You on the ass on the way out. Yeah.
Oh
So there's going to be no, really, truly, it's not the rise of socialism. Really, truly, what is a democratic socialist? It's a liberal in the 60s. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's it. That's all. That's literally all it is. If you look at democratic socialism today, we're talking about Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah, totally.
With the Vietnam War aside, we're talking about Lyndon Johnson.
Question here from Declees: is there any validity to recovering revenue from empty living spaces by taxing landlords for sitting on them?
It's a good question.
Yes. I mean, yes. You look. The thing is, there's eminent domain. these properties could be seized. Many of them commercial, spaces that have been boarded up and covered with graffiti for years are obviously an eyesore. You empty units become prey for squatters and drug dealers and stuff. So I've always said this. I think it should be, forget taxation. I think it should be against the law to have a unit remain empty more than a certain period of time. You could make that period very long. You could say, property rights are very important. You could say 5 years or whatever.
That is long. Yeah.
But I would say 2 years would be like fair. Like you got to rent, and it's going to, it would have a depressing effect on rent, which we need, desperately. But certainly a moderate solution would be to tax. Right now, the landlords, they can take deductions on the very sizable ones on the warehouse units. So I hate that. I mean, just get rid of the tax incentives that they currently have, and you'd see more units come online.
Wow. Yeah. I like your idea. 5 years, in the greater scheme of real estate is not really that terribly long.
No.
And it might put some pressure on rental prices.
It would roll by. I mean, at a certain point, they'd be like, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally think, as a former son-in-law of a landlord, my father-in-law always had the idea, like, it's better to have low rent and have someone occupying that space all the time than it is to, than to have people have a lot of churn. You always have to clean, you have to paint, and every month is killer on that spreadsheet when you see you have that zero rent. You don't want that, Right. You want tenants. I mean, that's the point. That's what you're in the business of. Should we talk about Letitia James?
Yeah, let's do that. Seems kind of mean-spirited, no?
It definitely seems. Although what she did to Donald Trump was also
he was very mean-spirited.
A little mean-spirited, well. Right? So It is kind of funny, right? Because it's like so Letitia James is charged with, she had mortgages on 2 homes. She has I forget which is which, but she has a house in New York. She has a house in Virginia. I think the Virginia house is a vacation home. Anyway, when she applied for her mortgage on the Virginia house, she claimed that it was the form that she filled out for the loan said that it was her primary residence. When you take out a loan and on a house that's your primary residence, you get a better interest rate than when it's a vacation home. Who knows what was in her mind when she did that? Was she thinking, who's going to know, who's going to care? Maybe she was just like, when you close on a house and you have a pile of paper this high and they just keep to sign here, sign here. And it's like, you promise you read all this. I read all this. So maybe she didn't do that. She is the Attorney General of New York. So probably, I think people like that should be more careful. But anyway, she's accused of having benefited in $19,000 in interest savings. And so this is really trivial, right? I mean, it's a speeding ticket. I mean, she's being prosecuted, but no one's sending her to prison over this. I mean,
no, she's not going to go to prison. No.
This is to annoy her. It's lawfare.
It is. It's lawfare. And if you ask Donald Trump, do you believe this is lawfare? He would probably say, sure, of course it is. Just like her prosecution of me was lawfare, he would say.
Right. And it was.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, look, Donald Trump lied to get loan. He basically said, hey, it's not the size of my apartment. It's how I use it to get a loan. So he exaggerated about his assets in order to have more collateral than he really did have, and got loans he shouldn't have gotten as a result. But so he basically committed fraud to get the loan, but he paid it back. I mean, the lender was completely whole, which is really like the main point of like these kind of fraud laws. So it's a victimless crime, but it's a crime. And he was hit hard, right? Like hundreds of millions of dollars for these business records.
That's right.
And so, so that had to really hurt. I mean, the Trump organization, I think, is still not licensed to do business in New York State.
I think
a result.
they're specifically banned from doing business in New York State.
And obviously that's where it started, right? So that's gotta hurt. I mean, obviously, I'm sure. But look, Democrats are going to say, and they are saying that, like, Donald Trump has obviously weaponized the DOJ against his enemies, including Letitia. He's probably going to go. He'll figure out if he can figure out a way to go after what's her name down there in Atlanta, the prosecutor, the RICO prosecutor. He will, right? Yes. He's gone after James Comey. There will be more. How do we feel about this? I mean, I'm really torn. It's like part of me thinks these are legit prosecutions. These are people who did bad things. So it's like, this is, again, it's kind of like analogous to what we were talking about yesterday. Americans like they like going after illegal immigrants. They don't like the way these deportations are happening. Right. And similarly here, I think I like to see public officials who are doing bad things punished, but I don't like the way this is being done. Does that make sense?
It does. I think really most of us, and I would even include myself in this, have these sort of vague ideological positions, and then we have trouble laying them out for others. And were we in positions of authority where we would have to implement them into policy, we would be unable to do so. I don't think this is unique to Donald Trump or to the Trump administration. Like, for example, nobody wants to have undocumented migrants here who are raping and murdering people or carjacking people or committing.
No.
Nobody wants.
They can go.
Yeah, they can go. But what do you do? I mean, it's not like they are carrying little signs saying, I'm a violent illegal immigrant.
Right.
And then the Trump response is just to scoop up everybody, throw everybody out. I had to laugh. I think I mentioned this yesterday. I had to laugh when the head of Latinos for Trump was scooped up last week. He's in detention now, and he's being expelled imminently.
In
the post, they had a picture of him with this big sign, Latinos for Trump.
You can't make that up. It's awesome.
Enjoy Havana, buddy.
John, we never talked about it, but what about the superintendent of the Des Moines public school system?
We really have to talk about that, because there's actually more to the story that I learned yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
So what you're talking about is a scandal that should never, ever, ever have happened. There's a guy who, until last week, was the superintendent of schools for the city of Des Moines, which is the largest school district in the state of Iowa. And frankly, it's one of the largest school districts in the Midwestern United States.
For sure.
So
Des Moines is a real city.
It's a city, a real city.
By the way, John, do you know how Des Moines got named? I love this story.
No idea. I just assumed it was a native name.
So I don't know if it was Lewis and Clark, but it was like basically Western explorers were traveling along the river there, and they had a local Indian guide helping them who spoke native languages. I think it was the Mohawk language. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, the point is, at one point, the American colonists said, "So what's up ahead down the river?" And the guy said, talk to a local. It's like, Des Moines. And so they assumed this is either like a place name or like and they're like, okay, we christen this Des Moines. It came out about 5 years ago. Linguists have determined it means those shitheads.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Anyway, go ahead.
So so about 5 years ago, the Des Moines School District engaged a search firm. They needed to find a new superintendent, and so they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for this search firm to identify a group of candidates. So they identified 5. It was whittled down to 3. They interviewed the 3 finalists. They chose this guy as the as the superintendent. Well, it turned out that he didn't have a PhD in education. That was made up. And it turned out he wasn't even an American citizen. He was here illegally. And apparently a year ago, ICE was on him and they realized this guy's a fraud. And so they went and interviewed him. So he knew that this was coming.
What?
He knew he was going to be scooped up, but he never said anything to anybody. And so last week, sure enough.
Why didn't he go to ground?
Well, let's see, he tried too late. So when they went to get him last week, he jumped in his car and took off, right? Then jumped out of the car with a gun and ran, finally threw the gun away, and ICE got him.
What the fuck?
That's what I said. Like, what?
That's awesome.
What was this guy thinking? So now the latest development is day before yesterday, the Des Moines School District sued the search company. And the search company issued a statement that, well, in the interview process, they should have weeded him out if he wasn't, answering the questions properly. And they were like, no, we paid you to weed him out. You didn't even bother to check his academic credentials, let alone whether or not he was even an American.
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't he have to fill out an I-9 form to become an employee?
Yes, and it was all fake.
And it didn't come. And yeah, when you do that, you can submit that to what used to be the INS, and and like they come back. There's E-Verify, right? That's what it's called.
Yes, E-Verify. That's right.
So they didn't E-Verify, clearly.
No, they probably said they did. Anyway, I've been so interested in this because it's so nuts, and the system fell apart at every step of the way. And it resulted, nobody got hurt or anything, but there's got to be a lot of embarrassment. And this is going to cost this search firm a lot of money.
Was he? Well, I should hope so. I guess it all goes to show when you outsource your shit out to some company rather than doing your own HR hiring, what kind of thing can happen. Is there any word, John, on like whether he was a good superintendent? Was he good at his job?
By all accounts, he was terrific. And everything was moving smoothly.
Oh my God. It's crazy. John, we have an ad, which I'm going to read here. Hey, football fanatics, are you ready for some primetime NFL action? Tune into Westwood One for all the gridiron glory you crave. From jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays, don't miss a moment of the excitement. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on the NFL app, on the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com via Westwood One station streams, and by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. So, John, so just a little bit of housekeeping. Monday, no show because of Columbus Day or Indigenous Genocide Day, depending on your preference, or both. So we will be back on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Also, please like, follow, and share. Please consider donating. We definitely have had some financial setbacks here due to YouTube, and even with Rumble, we're having some glitches, which we're trying to figure out. But we really love doing the show. We want to keep doing it. Obviously, we're all having a good time here, so let's keep the party going. But so, all right. Well, this is definitely going to be. This would have been a Lifetime cable for women, afternoon movie.
Exactly.
The wacky superintendent.
Girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Like, I wonder if he lied to his family too, right? Like,
oh my God.
It's honestly, I feel terrible for him. It must have just been the stress of knowing that you've built this house of cards that can come crumbling down any time.
At any moment. At any moment.
Horrible.
Yeah.
And, it also kind of like makes us think about, immigration policy, right? It's like sort of like, look, the guy did a good job as superintendent. He was fine. He was an upstanding citizen, except for the whole running away and carrying a gun with the possible, obviously crossed his mind to using it against law enforcement. Not good. But overall, maybe, it should make some people think maybe we shouldn't have this level of enforcement. Oh, anyway, I don't know.
Ann Wilcox, hi, Ann. Ann is saying the Des Moines superintendent was a beloved high school principal in D.C. What? I did not realize that.
Oh.
So he didn't just come out of the woodwork. He had experience, which also means that the D.C. school board never bothered to check the guy's bona fides.
Oh, well, I think it probably starts there, right? Because I think once you've been a principal in D.C., nobody's thinking let's see if he's an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, right? That's right. Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Oh my God.
Well, I kind of admire the guy. But while we're talking about immigration stuff, John, a judge has, so there's been all these protests. It's really kind of interesting. So in the run up to the rise to Hitler's seizure of power in 1933, the Nazis would go out into the streets of Berlin and other German cities and basically cause chaos. They'd start street riots, they'd beat up socialists and Jewish people and other people, shopkeepers that they didn't like. And they caused a general atmosphere of unease and criminality. And then Hitler ran for chancellor partly on the grounds of, if you elect me, I can bring law and order to Germany. And of course he could, because he was the cause of the disorder. And I'm reminded of that because of, basically we're being told that Portland and Chicago and these other cities are quote unquote hellscapes. If you look at my Twitter feed, it's all full of right wingers saying thank God we're going to save Chicago. We're going to save Portland. President Trump is going to save them from the war, from the evil that's going on there. But it's all self-fulfilling, right? Because then meanwhile, lefties who actually haven't been doing shit, because lefties never do shit in these cities, they're now they're pissed. And they go to the ICE office in Portland and protest. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Right. It's kind of the opposite of the 1933 thing. It's we're going to talk up the disorder, which will actually cause the disorder, which we will then claim we're ending. Right, basically. Right. It's kind of clever. It's weird that it works in an era of super hyper communications. But anyway, the judge is banning Homeland Security agents from going after journalists or protesters with riot weapons at ICE sites. They say, first, you have to warn someone that you're interested in stopping twice with your voice, and you have to have visible IDs. If those two warnings, for example, to disperse or whatever, are ignored, then you can step in and use. But basically, the judge has sided with the journalists who say that the journalists are being sided. DHS says we try to protect journalists, but it's a dangerous job and you never know.
They're Antifa.
Yeah, they're Antifa. Or is it the Portland PD who are Antifa, if you believe Nick, what's his name? From Fox. Sorter.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, literally, that's also what's so perverse and twisted about it. It's like a right-wing fever dream. Antifa, the Portland police arrested me because, they're Antifa. No, the Portland police arrested you because they're FA. Okay, that's why. It's the opposite. Because they're they don't care that you're a journalist. They don't care that you're a Fox journalist. That's what happened here.
That is it. That is it.
Any questions we have to get to here? Let's see. Chicago residents have been posting videos of them chasing ICE out of their city. And to be honest, it's rather hilarious. I've seen some of these. I also like that in Chicago, there's been viral videos like that guy who trolled ICE, who basically was on his bike and he's insulting them and giving them the finger, which, by the way, is your First Amendment right in the United States, right?
That is constitutionally protected free speech.
It's annoying to me when cops say you're not allowed to be disrespectful. Yes, you are.
Yeah, you are.
You are. You can say, fuck you, suck my dick, I hate you. That's all legal. And the thing is, So anyway, this guy did that, and then these fat ICE guys are like chasing him, and he's like, woo, he backs off, and he's like, all like like slaloming down the street in Chicago as these guys. I mean, they look ridiculous.
Yeah, they do. Yes, it's ridiculous.
It's like Keystone Cops. All right, well, shall we get to the main event here? I think we should.
Yeah, I think we probably should.
So, John, I have thoughts. I know that will surprise you. So, first of all, I was thinking, the first and foremost, so the peace deal is, first of all, highly remarkable. I'm very happy to see it going. I mean, let's hope it lasts. Okay, first of all, for years, through Democratic and Republican presidencies alike, John, you and I have been told that no one can control Israel, that Israel is a force of nature upon itself, that like Congress can't take away their money because it's guaranteed by law. The power of AIPAC is too strong to be overcome. And anyway, the Israelis wouldn't listen to us if we pressured them because they're maniacs, right? Yeah. And now it turns out, well, apparently you can pressure Israel.
Yeah,
and Donald Trump,
apparently you can. It's all about the will.
It's about whether you want to or not. And Donald Trump got so pissed off about this strike against Qatar that he's just like, basically, who knows what he said behind the scenes. But I think it went somewhere along the lines like this: cut the shit or I'm cutting you off. I think it was that simple.
We called it, Ted.
We did call it.
Either Qatar's a major non-NATO ally, or it's not. It's either going to host the world's largest Air Force base, or it's not.
Yep. And the thing is, and the fact that right now, this is a deal. We should talk about like the who's going to govern Gaza, aspect of this. Yeah. But basically, like currently, right? Israel has lost. Israel has to withdraw. They're gonna have to send back. They're gonna get back their hostages, which is good for everybody. They're gonna get back. They're gonna have to give back hostages, including prisoners who've been convicted of crimes, back to the Palestinians. But the war is over. Basically, that's it. Like they have to stop. And so, really, I mean, it shows that like when Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris sort of said there's nothing we can do, that was a lie. And we knew it was a lie. And those of us who said it was a lie were like repeatedly ridiculed and shouted down.
That's right. Beaten about the face and head, I like to say. Yeah.
That's what happened. And I mean, and the other thing, John, is like we've also been told now by the Israelis and their Zionist apologists here in the States that they've been allowing, there's no aid blockade. Hamas has been stealing the aid. They've been allowing it all in. Well, it's part of the deal. And we were also told the UN can't be trusted. UNRWA is infested with Hamas.
Right. And they had to destroy UNRWA because it was a Hamas front organization.
So UNRWA and the UN are now preparing to flood the zone. Yep. So obviously, UNRWA is trustworthy, and obviously, and John, your signal just dropped. Your video just dropped. I don't know if you can hear me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are.
There we go.
Okay, so UNRWA is trustworthy. The UN has the aid ready to go in.
Yeah,
and the Israelis were blocking it. I mean, this is now on the record. There's no denying it ever.
But nobody's supposed to remember that stuff about UNRWA, right? Mm-hmm. It was expedient in the moment, but we're not supposed to bring that up. It's no longer relevant, right? Because the Israelis control the narrative.
And I guess, I think most people, unlike us, will have forgotten about the whole UNRWA bullshit.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I mean, there are people who are currently living in Gaza who were fired from UNRWA over this bullshit.
Yes.
I wonder if they get their jobs back. I bet they do.
Mm-hmm.
John, let's talk about who's going to rule Gaza. So basically, Israel's big thing is it will not be Hamas, John. It will be Hamas. I mean,
it will be Hamas.
And it has to be, right? I mean, this is kind of like, who else is there? This reminds me of Afghanistan when we had when the United States sponsored the Loya Jirga, right? And basically it was like all parties are welcome to come, except the exiled king in Italy. We'd rather not have him around because he's actually might win this thing.
I remember him.
And yeah, he was old as shit.
Yeah,
and
90-something years old.
Yeah, he would have been like the Joe Biden of Afghanistan. And then and also the Taliban, who represented maybe 80% of Afghan politics at minimum, right? So here's the thing, right? Hamas represents at least 80% of Gazan politics, of legit politics. There's never been any opposition party allowed to exist. It's like the Ba'ath Party. They had a complete monopoly on political power and jobs in Iraq, right? So who the fuck else is there? I mean, Palestinian technocrats.
Right.
I mean, quit smoking hash.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you guys talking about? I mean, do you have any, I mean, they are joking, right? They just don't know. Are they just floundering? Are they flailing? Is that all it is?
They're floundering. You know, it's funny. People like to think that they're so perfectly in charge, and then they realize that they've been overtaken by events, and they're actually not really in charge.
I like that.
Man, what a crazy world it is right now.
It is. I mean, it is crazy. Also, I'd like to also say that, this is like, I come to praise Donald Trump again. Just think about this accomplishment. Okay, I know the Nobel went the way it went, but let's be serious here. I mean, and I didn't vote for this man. I voted for Dr. Jill Stein, but it's October 10th. He took office January 20th. He came in and ended the Gaza War within less than 9 months, right? I mean, so, I mean, think about Richard Nixon. He supposedly had a secret plan to end the Vietnam War,
right,
which he never got around to doing, really.
No. And as history has shown, he really didn't have a secret plan.
It was bullshit. Yeah. So now, but Donald Trump apparently, I don't think he had any plan, but he was just like wanted to end it. And now it's over. Now, again, Joe Biden and the Democrats, they sat on this shit and let it happen for over a year, and it's, I would argue that like, if that war had ended before Election Day, Kamala Harris would be president today.
I agree with you. Yeah.
So I mean,
right.
And I don't think the Democrats have learned their lesson here, Yeah.
No, see, this is the problem with the Democrats, Ted, is that they never learn their lesson. Today, for example, I'm not changing the subject. I'm just using this as an analogy. There was a piece in the Washington Post about John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, the Republican from South Dakota. What's his strategy for dealing with the Democrats on the government shutdown? His strategy is to just wait until the Democrats fold. And he said, it's because they always do fold.
Well, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
But not this. I don't think this time.
You don't think so?
I think they will.
No,
it'll take a while.
Not on the budget. But I'm just saying on these other issues. There's no strategy. There's no deep thinking that goes into Democratic policies.
That's true.
No. Like I said this on the show that I used to have with Michelle. When your campaign is vote for me because I'm not the other guy, that's not a winning strategy.
It almost never works. It did work for Biden in 2020, but that was because of a unique set of circumstances. And I think that went that way because Trump acted like a maniac over COVID.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, to this day, I will never understand why he ran away from his own vaccine.
I have to agree.
The vaccine was a major political triumph.
It was.
And then and then he thought, I mean, I know he was so deeply committed to his base strategy, but I think in that was a fuck up.
Yeah. What was it called? Operation
Warp Speed.
Warp Speed.
So John, let's talk about this guarantee. I mean, so Trump issued a guarantee. Hamas, basically, the holdup that's being reported today was the Hamas was kind of like, there's one thing we really got to know. How do we know that the Israelis aren't going to break the ceasefire like they always do? How do we know that they're not going to attack us again? And Trump said, I will personally guarantee that I will not allow the Israelis to do that.
Yeah, those are
what's the mechanism there? Let's say, I mean, would that mean that the United States would be militarily obligated to respond and attack Israel, or just to make a phone call and to say cut the shit or cut them off financially? I mean, what does that look like?
That's the more likely scenario. Or if you really want to get tough, I mean, the last time we had an American president really get tough with Israel, it was George H.W. Bush, where he suspended housing loan guarantees. And it nearly brought down the Israeli government.
Wow.
Yeah, because we're never tough with the Israelis. Never.
No. But we keep saying, what can we do?
Yeah.
You know what we are like? We're like a bat. Like you go to the restaurant and there's the terrible parent who the kid's running around, raising hell, making life miserable for all the other diners. And there's like, I hate to say this, it's usually the mom, and the mom has a very soft voice. And she's like sitting in her chair instead of getting up to get her kid. She's like, honey, don't do that to the nice man over there. Just come back. That's what we're like with Israel. We're like, no, stop with the Palestinians. Please be a little gentler with them. Don't touch them. Don't mess up their meal. Don't make them not eat. It's like,
that's it.
And Donald Trump is finally won for the first time, right? Like you said, since George H.W. Bush, for the first time, he's like, cut the shit. And they're like, woof, woof.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So who knows? Donald Trump has surprised people before, and maybe he will be tougher than any of us have given him credit for.
I think he will be, because it's gone great for him. You know what I mean? Like, he just did that, and like everyone loves him.
Yeah.
You've got Ted Rall saying nice things about you. It's like, that's unusual.
Yes.
And I'm not alone here. So I think he's going to be. I think there will be more. John, we talked about this at the top of the show. The reporters are going to start going in. Everyone's going to see how fucking horrible Gaza, the state of Gaza is. There's not going to be any.
Talk about a hellscape.
That's the hellscape. Yeah. There's not going to be. There's so many implications here. I don't even want to rank them. Israel's reputation is going to be even sunk deeper than it is now, and there's going to be and I think there's not going to be any appetite for exploiting them, like Trump Gaza or whatever. The Tony Blair plan. All that shit's out the window. There's just going to be a level of international sympathy that's almost analogous to the sympathy that there was for Jews in 1945 after the Holocaust, and those camps were liberated and people saw what they'd been through. There's going to be that level of empathy and sympathy, and people are going to just they're going to demand. This is so ironic. They're going to demand that the Palestinians deserve their own state after what they've been through. I don't think there's any. I mean, what do you think?
No, I agree. And isn't that what U.S. policy says the end game is anyway? I mean, since 1948, Harry Truman said an independent Israel and eventually an independent Palestine.
Right.
Okay, well, that was 1948. And that's reiterated every few years, in talks. Okay, it's time for an independent Palestine.
Well, and here's the thing that's interesting, right? Like, okay, the Kurds have been waiting longer than the Palestinians for their independent state. But the Kurds kind of don't need it the way that the Palestinians need it.
That's right.
The Palestinians, this war, the Gaza war, proves that the Palestinians need a state to be protected from the Israelis, or they're all going to be killed. The Kurds don't have that problem. Yeah, there's some of them, the Turks have killed some of them, but it's not the same thing. It's not on the same scale. So I think that's why the world is going to be like, there's a difference between like want, deserve, and need.
Yes, that's right. That's a good point.
So, all right, let's see.
We're out of time.
I think we are out of time. Anything else you want to talk about here?
No, I'm glad everybody had a chance to join us.
Me too. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great weekend. We are going to be back, like I said, Tuesday after the federal holiday. We always take federal holidays off here, even though neither of us is a federal worker, but whatever. I guess if something really big happened, we could always do an emergency show, but and we would do that, I think. But anyway, we're here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. John, you're headed back to the land of the tarantula and the mosquito. Are you bringing any special gear, any like sprays or anything, potions to make them go away?
I'm buying some spray before I get on the plane. Don't
get aerosols; they won't let you on the plane.
They won't let you on. Yeah. Gotta get the cream.
Yeah. you need super toxic shit.
It's bad, man. Just thank God, I'm gonna knock on wood. I don't have Zika virus.
Yeah, well, there's still that doesn't exist out in Baja, does it?
I have no idea. I know those mosquitoes could pick me up and fly me away.
Producer Robbie West is chiming in on the chat that part 3 of John's interview with me is going to drop on Rumble Premium later today. So for those of you who are on Rumble Premium, there's part 3 out of 4 is now available. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you on Tuesday.
Bye, everybody.
John, fly safe.
Thank you.